I was married January 25th, 1997 at Equa Church in Makurdi. We were blessed with 3 children there. So that's how it's been. We are no longer together now. She's in US with the children at Milan. We had disagreements and she left. I'm here to be married. That was about 10 years ago. And NTA Makurdi featured us 3 times because of the love we had for each other as seen by them. She did not tell me she was making passport for the children. It was not with my account. I didn't know. So I was sad when I heard about it. And my names are Babatunde or Adoche Ifere. If you want to put in the other order, Adoche Babatunde Ifere. But my friends just call me Tunde, and that's all right. You can see, obviously, I'm a polio survivor. I was born August 26th, I think Wednesday, 1959. I was born like any other person, normal. And my parents were Mr. Atta Ogbebo Ifere, a dentist, and my late mother, both of them are late actually, Modupe Miriam Ifere. My father is from Benue State, and my mother is from Lagos, although they migrated from Osun, Nosogbo, close to 100 years ago now, I think, or thereabout. So that's about my birth. I'm the 3rd of 6 children. My mother told me at around the age of 3.5, 4 years old, I developed a strange type of fever which she did not understand. They took me to the hospital, and when they gave me an injection, she noticed paralysis started on this leg. And with time, the paralysis spread to all parts of my body, so I couldn't run and walk and jump as I used to do again around the age of 4. And I started crawling because all the other parts of my body, apart from my 2 arms, were no longer functioning. I was so paralysis started from the spinal cord and spread right down. And it was very debilitating. It was very fearful for them because I could no longer use the toilet. I could no longer use my lower limbs, and I had to crawl to do everything. So that's how it started around the age of 4. But there was no solution. So I became very crippled and could not walk for many years. Then she's a teacher. She was a teacher, Methodist, I think Yaba Methodist High School or so, somewhere like that. So she had to go to work after many years. My father was a dentist. So they thought how they could manage me because my own case of paralysis on the lower limbs was not the type that gave a house girl, because in frustration she could just cause more harm. So they took me to Mrs. Cole Memorial Handicap School. I think it used to be located at St. Finbar's Road on the road to University of Lagos, okay? Around University of Lagos. So I was there for my early childhood, and I think it's a hospice or so, a place where they keep people that they feel cannot recover again in life. So I was crawling now like a baby. I couldn't walk, so I was crawling. And then with time, much prayer and physiotherapy work, they made some iron shoes for me. We call them calipers. So I had iron shoes on both legs, and then a brace, a plastic brace, so that I can sit straight, because I couldn't sit like this. I just slouch because I had no control from my neck down. So I would just slouch to the ground. So they made iron legs for me. They constructed the special shoes. One shoe was thicker than the other, and then I couldn't flex my knees anyway. So it was like a straight jacket shoe. And when I stand, it was as if it was a contraption. I don't know if you have watched the film called RoboCop. And that's how my construction, just to make me stand. She went to read a diploma in special education so that I can withdraw me and look after me from the Akoka Handicapped Children's School or Madam Cole Memorial Handicapped Children's School at Akoka area, St. Finbar's, in front of Unilag Road. So she withdrew me and started praying and teaching me how to walk. So in the course of time, they were transferred to Jos. Plateau State then was created. So my father, coming from Benue, took his wife, then Modupe, and the children, and were transferred to Jos. So in Jos, she was saddled with my calipers, my disability, and started teaching me how to go about things on my own. In the course of time, she would tell me to practice how to walk along with her in our parlor and dining. She would hold my hand and teach me how to take a first step. I usually took my step by swinging because there are no motor control from the brain to the limbs. I may say in my mind I want to walk, but there's no signal from the brain anyway to the limbs, so I don't have to swing like that. So, but as she prayed and we did a lot of massage work, she told me to try and remove one caliper at a time. So the iron shoes were this long from here to the hip. So in the course of time, I started removing them one by one. And she would hold my hands, we walk within the parlor and the dining, parlor and dining. So one day she shocked the family by saying she's going to put me in a normal school. I've never been to a normal school in my life. And I was about 10, 11 years old when we were in Jos. Never been to any normal school. It was just a handicapped school where everybody had an issue. Now to go to a normal school, it was quite shocking because my brothers loved me very much and they understood my problem. They made allowance and they cared for me a lot. So now going to a normal school, people, jungle people, it was not an easy idea. One of those days after school, I would feel so bad because they would challenge me to do many things I can't do. Like, oh yeah, come and run, oh yeah, Tunde, come and run, come and do this. And they would tease me, come and touch me and run. They were having fun, but I was not finding it funny. So I didn't tell my parents what I was going through in school, but I made up my mind to revenge all the teasing. So I made a catapult for myself and got very good stones because I read in the Bible, David defeated Goliath with stones on catapult. So I did my own catapult and I put some good stones in my school bags. So one day when the children came again to tease me and ran, I put down my catapult and shot them at the head. So some students developed extra egg head on their head. Then the headmaster had to call my parents because after students, many of them were having boils, big boils from my stones. Their parents were complaining and my mother had to talk to me because they threatened that if it happened again, I'll be expelled from school. That vendetta was not necessary. So my mother called me and told me what happened was not anybody's liking. They don't know why it came, and the students too don't know what I feel. They just want to play. When they come, I should play with them. I should not get angry, that they don't mean bad. So they were just curious because everybody around was able-bodied, but they were just curious about why I worked in a funny way. So by this time, I'd almost gotten rid of all the working contraption. Although I work with a limp, but I could manage to work on my own. So we became friends, and you won't believe it, they employed me to be their goalkeeper in the local match. So I made my own goal post smaller, and children are wonderful people too. Today I love them so much because they are innocent in their question, unlike adults who hide things in their heart. They don't blot out anything that comes to their mind, and in their innocence, they don't have any other things to say. So that's how my primary school went. I was fortunate. I went to second school, government college, Kefi, in Nassau State, now Federal Government College now, and I have wonderful friends like that. From there, God helped me. I proceeded to Ilorin, where I did some courses, because I didn't get all my papers in WAEC. In the course of time, my mother noticed I like drawing. When visitors visited us in the house, I would come and sit near my mother, and I'll be looking at the visitors and sketching their faces. When they go, I'll show my mother the faces I've sketched, and she knew that, this man draws a lot. So sometimes when she doesn't want me in the parlor, I'll go outside and be drawing the visitors' cars. So I would draw their cars and draw the environment free of charge. So my mother said, looks like I'm going to be an artist. But she didn't want me to be an artist because artists in Nigeria are not recognized. She preferred me to study architecture. That's almost the same thing, only that the architecture paid a little bit better than the artist, or let me say much better than the artist. So that was how my journey. After I went to University of Ilorin, I met good friends, people like David Oyedepo then. He was our senior in Ilorin, and I was sharing the Kwara campus with them, Ebohime, and so many other. Papa Adegboye too. He taught me mathematics in 1978. From then, I went to University of Jos, where I did my first degree in architecture and second degree in architecture. And I finished and went to serve in Benue State. So that's how my schooling went. Getting married was not easy, as you can see. Not many women would like me to marry their daughters because of disability. But maybe trends are changing now because people feel, oh, it's the devil, maybe this man is caused by God or something like that. They don't want you in their family, blah, blah. But things are changing now. People are getting better enlightened. So when it was time to get married, it was not very easy for me because some sisters in fellowship like me, which I don't like them, and the ones I like also did not like me. So getting a balance was a tug of war. Finally, I met this lady called Edna, and she liked me, and she didn't mind the disability. And we got married. I'm a very social person. I have loads of friends, tons and tons of friends. And then my family have been extremely supportive. One of the problems I have with people is that I'm extremely an independent person, very independent-minded, and also enjoy solitude from time to time. My mother insisted, because she's good at but she saw disabled people driving a car. So right from Jos, when I was a student, I had a car, a Beetle, Volkswagen Beetle. So I drive myself, and sometimes too I can be very busy with project design, sometimes supervision, and one or two works in the fellowship. It keeps me very busy. So yeah, I miss my family. Although they've grown up now, I'm still thinking what God will allow me to do, whether to get married or remain like this. I'm not sure. But I can only give you my own opinion, my own side of the story, and being as truthful as possible. We had everything going well. And NTA Makurdi featured us 3 times because of the love we had for each other as seen by them. She's a lecturer. I married as a lecturer at Benue State University. And then we relocated to Badagry because she had a work with Nigerian French village. She studied French and linguistics. So when she had this work, I eventually had to pack up my practice in Makurdi and follow her to Badagry. So even in Badagry, I was like an assistant pastor and the one in charge of marriage and counseling. So we had what people call an ideal kind of situation where people were surprised how she's beautiful, how a beautiful man would love such a person like me to marry me. But it happened. And she was not the only one who wanted to marry, surprisingly, but she was the one I chose among those who loved me. Of course, we had disagreements as family and also opposition from my side among my friends and from her own parents, especially her mother. Her mother did not like me from the word get-go at all. In fact, our marrying was because she disagreed with her mother to marry me. She hated me like no man's business. Felt I was too confident, and I was this type of person who could, I don't know how to put it to, maybe is it arrogance? I just felt I can do everything normal person can do. And I didn't see myself as inferior. So early, my mother helped me to get rid of the complexes that come with disability. So she told me anything a person can do, I will do, but only I will take my time to do it slowly. But that there was nothing like a bar that stopped me from achieving anything in spite of disability. So she pumped in so much confidence into me. So that was maybe one of my undoing because I did not buy people's idea of inferiority complex. So, and that put some people off me. She gave reasons that she didn't love me anymore. We had this issue. I wanted to leave Badagry after about 5 years to back to where I can get job because in Badagry I was not getting architectural jobs. And I'm used to taking care of my family. all the responsibility, house, feeding, and all the rest. I didn't really know how much she earned. I didn't bother because I felt it was my duty as the man in the house to take care of everything concerning her and the house, and she could only augment. But when we got to Badagry, I couldn't get much architectural jobs, but more pastoral work. And I'm not sure I have a pastoral calling, even though I love the Lord so much. But I don't think I have the calling to be a pastor. So the income was dwindling seriously. So I wanted a place where I could practice my craft. And I had to told her, let us leave Badagry. I've stayed with you now for almost 6 years in this place. Let us go to Abuja where they needed architects to do some work. It brought a real problem within us living in Badagry because she liked Badagry in a way because when she was a lecturer at Benue State University, they were not promoting her. Benue State University was quite something else. For how many years she was not promoted. When we got to Badagry, they sent her to almost all the Francophone countries and sent her to France. And there was prospect there for her, and I appreciated it. But I'm the one who brings the bread and the butter to the family. I needed income. So it was very tough. I was not interested in her earnings. That's where I was making a mistake. I felt my earnings should cover everything. So I left her to do whatever she wanted with her earnings. Not really my business. Till today, I don't really know what she earned, and I didn't really bother. I don't think I've ever asked for her pay slips. I'm not sure. She could volunteer information, but I did what I could. And I felt when they were in the Friend Village School, staff school, she was the one who was paying the children's school fees because if staff have their children in school, they paid half. But if you were an outside person, you paid full. But I augment. And when we moved to Abuja, I paid, as usual, everybody's school fees and the rent and everything. So it was the movement to Abuja that really caused us a lot of problems. And getting to Abuja, Abuja is a very expensive town. It's like a one-shoe size town. If you cannot fit into the financial demands of Abuja, you have to live at the outskirts. It was very difficult. I was with the children in Abuja, and I was not coping fine because I needed a house help, which her mother sent. And I was not coping well because sometimes I have to cook their food and I have to drop them in school. She comes when she's available on some weekend and public holiday, but that was not really enough. So it's not a very good thing to talk about, but it's one sad phase of my life. But it was difficult for both of us, I know, but we just had to sacrifice. And she did not tell me she was making passport for the children. It was not with my account, I didn't know. So I was sad when I heard about it, and many people, including my lawyer, said I should press charges. When I asked about the repercussion of pressing charges, they said she could be deported and she could be jailed. So I didn't want that to happen to her or the children, so I didn't present charge till today. I don't know how she got the divorce paper. She just wangled the paper for divorce. She took me to court. We were in the process of court when she disappeared from Nigeria. Yes. I have many friends from fellowship where I used to enjoy so much, from church, and I have invitations to do consultancy. I draw, and I'm fortunate to be invited to build or supervise. So I do many drawings, and I work and I'm paid, and I'm very happy that I have enough for my needs. In fact, God bless me many times more than enough for my needs.